So this is some footage from an open race I did at Daytona Milton Keynes a few days ago. Um, Daytona Milton Keynes is the sister track of my regular track, which is the one closer to my home, which is Daytona Sandown. But Daytona Milton Keynes is a very, very fun track as well. It's very well organised there, and you get a very, very good standard of people that turn up and race there. I can remember my first ever open race I did there. I think I came about 8th out of 30, and one of the person that came 5th was actually a Formula 3 driver. So they didn't even get on the podium. So that told me a lot about the standard of people that kind of regularly turn up and race at Daytona Milton Keynes in their open races. And open races, they present a very different and unique challenge to someone like myself, because I am as go-karters go, I'm a heavier driver. I'm just over 14 stone, fully kitted out, which in go-karting terms puts me in just into the heavyweight category for championship racing. And I felt, I started go-karting a couple of years ago, and this year, as I've sort of gained more experience, I've sort of come into my own in terms of championship racing. I won the heavyweight in-kart championship at Daytona Sandown earlier this year, and I'm leading the season 2 championship as well. So that's been really, really fun. Really sort of helped my confidence, and I feel like my racing's really, really improved and sort of come into my own in terms of championship racing. But open races are quite different, because anyone can turn up and race, and there's no weight divisions, so lighter drivers naturally have quite a big advantage. Because go-karts only have a limited amount of power, so a lighter driver will naturally be able to accelerate much faster than a heavier driver. So open races are very, very tough to do well in for someone like myself, particularly at somewhere like Daytona Milton Keynes, because I don't know the track as well as I do, say, my local tracks. I actually did a couple of rounds of the Daytona Milton Keynes Super Champs last year, with sort of interesting results.
Fenton here, having bumper-to-bumper action, but maybe for the wrong reason this time, as the number 10 there of Henry Walter puts his brakes on to let Samuel Faulkner through. Didn't realise Fenton was right behind him.
To be completely fair to myself, I did grab a couple of 4th places, and I think I had a 5th as well at one point in one of the rounds. But that was mainly thanks to other people's retirements and me getting a bit lucky. But it was hard, because I didn't know the main circuit very well. I didn't know any of the alternate layouts, and a lot of the guys racing have been racing on that track for years and years. Some of them since they were kids. So it was a very, very steep learning curve, and I wasn't massively competitive. That was last year. I haven't really raced at Daytona Keynes much since then. I did a race in May, an open race, and that went very, very well. I was really chuffed with that. It was 28 people turned up. There was a lot of experienced people there, including some very good lightweights. And I got pole position in qualifying, and then I actually won the race, which I was really, really chuffed with. I had to really battle for it. I went down to 5th after spinning off a couple of laps from the start, and so I went down to 5th, and then I got back into 2nd quite fast, but then I didn't retake the lead until just before the end. So I was really, really happy to win that, and quite proud of that, really, because like I say, most of the people in the fleet that day were lightweights, and so I was obviously had a weight disadvantage, and also a lot of them were experienced as well. So I was really, really pleased with that. So what you're currently viewing now is the qualifying for the open race, and here I was just trying to sort of get used to the track and get used to the karts as well. I hadn't driven on the track for a while, and I hadn't driven in the karts, the N35s. I hadn't driven in them since May, and they handle very differently to the Sodi karts that they have at Daytona Sandown. They're a little bit lighter framed and stuff, slightly less powerful as well. So I was kind of having to sort of reacclimatise, get used to the handling of them. But yeah, it felt like it was going okay. The grip felt pretty good. It was quite late in the evening, as you can see. The track looked to be like not sort of bone dry, but actually it was fine. There was plenty of grip. And as I come up to the long hill, it's one of my favourite straights. This, but it's not a great straight if you're heavier. And you're going to see a shadow to my left, and that was I was actually quite surprised to be overtaken. I was not expecting to be overtaken, but there I am, number 12. His name was Lawrence Rudd. We spoke briefly afterwards. He's a really, really nice guy, and he was a lightweight. So I felt like he did have a straight line speed advantage, and I think he wasn't quite as neat in the corners as I usually am. So I kind of felt that maybe I could still be quicker than him. And my plan was, once he'd gone past me, I thought, right, I'm just going to shadow you, try and copy your lines, maybe get a little bit of slipstream, and try and set a faster lap. That was my plan. But what was a little bit frustrating was I tended to sort of close in over the majority of the lap, but then he would sort of pull away, because lightweights get better exit speed. There's quite a tight corner before the start-finish straight, and on the start-finish straight he would sort of pull away. So I would close on him in the corners and for the majority of the lap, and then lose a load of time on the start-finish straight at the end, which was so frustrating. But it is what it is. And we had an incredibly fun battle, which I think we both really enjoyed. And it always makes it more fun when you have someone that you're close with and you're having a good battle with. The most boring races tend to be where you're sort of just going around on your own, and my mind tends to wander in those situations. I don't have the best concentration. This is something I'm trying to work on, but when I have someone battling with it, it focuses you. The adrenaline kicks in. As you can see there, Lawrence made a little bit of a mistake, so I got a little bit closer. But then you can see on the start-finish straight, it's almost like he had a boost button. It was really frustrating, but that was obviously it's still very fun. And I enjoyed the qualifying because it was a challenge to sort of try and keep up with him and try and hopefully set a better time, which I actually didn't manage to do. Yeah, he did stand up faster than me by a reasonable chunk as well. I think it was over a second. Because my plan didn't really work. There was quite a few back markers, so we were both. That's part of the challenges of open races as well. Is you tend to often, as well as good people that turn up, you often have people who are a little bit less experienced. Everyone in the briefing said that they'd karted before, and everyone seemed to be fairly experienced. Milton Keynes tends to attract experienced people, but you always get people that are less confident in karts. Maybe they kart, but they don't kart sort of super regularly. So one of the challenges in open races is trying to get past the back markers without losing too much time, and that can often be a big thing in qualifying because it can be sometimes very, very difficult to actually get a clean lap in, particularly at Milton Keynes because it's such a long track. You tend to have people spinning off, or it'll be yellow flagged in corners, or you sort of you get held up on your good laps by back markers and stuff. So it's a skill in itself in a way, trying to get through the traffic fast and be able to set a quick lap. And case in point now, as we come up to some traffic here, Lawrence does a great job of getting through, and I just follow him through. But I'd say it probably did cost him a little bit of time, so I'm a little bit closer behind him than I was, or than I had been. This downhill bit in particular, I did feel I was always gaining time on Lawrence, and then as we'd come out going up the hill, he tended to pull away, even sometimes when I got better exits. But there he went wide a little bit, really messed up his exit, and that enabled me to get in his slipstream, get right up behind him, and then dive down the inside to go for the overtake. And so this made me, obviously certain that I've got a better lap than him on this lap. So I was very eager to complete this lap, which I was hoping would be my faster lap than him. Obviously, but anyway, so I went through to complete this lap. But then the one thing I didn't want him then doing was then copying my lines and then being a lightweight, using my slipstream and setting a quicker lap. So I thought I would pretend to run wide and just let him pass, so that he would not be able to then copy my line or get a slipstream like I just done to him. So deliberately went wide here, didn't even attempt to steer. He took the bait, went straight back up the inside to take the position back. And then I thought I'll just repeat the same trick. I'll just follow you around and wait for obviously not this lap, but wait for the next lap and try and get in your slipstream again. It actually didn't work. I got held up by back markers, and I think he would have been faster anyway. He had a straight line advantage, and obviously he's very experienced and quick as well. So this is the wait for the start. I think I qualified 6th. Only 14 actually turned up for the race. Was meant to be 16. No idea what happened to the other two, but 14 was plenty. And the standard of people that turned up was actually really high. I had intended to try and get on the podium. That was my target. When I saw who had turned up, I revised that to just be happy to get in the top 5 was my target. Because several of the circuits, people who compete in the championships at Milton Keynes had turned up. we had a couple of lightweights from the Super Champs had turned up who were very, very experienced and quick, and obviously they had their weight advantage as well. In third place was the former heavyweight Super Champs champion, Barry Morris, who's extremely quick and very talented, and obviously knows the track extremely well as well. In fourth place was my new rival Lawrence. In fifth place is a guy called Gary Martin. He's been racing for about 30 years in various vehicles. Does very well in go-karts. Also has raced his Porsche around most of the good tracks in the country, and has won an endurance championship as well. So he's very, very experienced and good. But he's heavy. I would say a reasonable amount sort of heavier than me, which meant I had a big weight advantage over him. So for my moaning about weight, it was nice to have an advantage over someone. But he was obviously very, very good. That was the reason why I got a better start than him. But I had to give him the corner, so he had the inside line, and he was very fast. For all my moaning about how weight is a disadvantage, he seemed to be a lot heavier than me, and he was doing an absolutely fine job. I couldn't keep up with him. So it just goes to show, doesn't it? It's if you have talent, you can overcome the weight disadvantage to a decent degree. And you can see him battling with Lawrence there, and they had a fascinating battle because obviously Lawrence had the straight line speed advantage because of his weight. But Gary's far more experienced. Gary's 30 years experience, very, very good driver. So he got past there. It was a very, very good overtake. And I was quite pleased to see the two of them battling because it meant that, despite the fact they were both faster than me, it meant that I could keep up. And I was very keen to get involved in their battle because I thought that'd be really, really fun and a very interesting challenge, and something that would make my race a lot more interesting as well. I kind of missed talking about it there, but at the bottom of the hill, you'll notice there was a slight sort of clop from behind. And that was someone, I think, behind me, cloutering into the back of me down that hill, which was quite annoying because it's I braked very late there myself, and they obviously went into the back of me, but they span off as a result. That's why I'd looked round at that point. But yeah, you can get things like that. People just get a little bit carried away at the start. Sometimes they're less experienced, and they'll do sort of silly things. So that kind of jarred my neck a little bit, which was annoying. But that is, I guess, one of the small advantages of being a heavier driver is that I tend to come off better out of collisions. When people do collide with me, often they'll come off worse. Like that guy went into the back of me and ended up spinning off. Whereas lighter drivers, when people do that, they tend to get taken out completely by other people's mistakes. So that is one of the small advantages of being heavier. You are more grounded. And you can see Lawrence and Gary ahead of me are having a real battle there. They're really going for it, both of them having a really good fight for position, which again was making me very happy because I thought it's just a matter of time before I catch up with them and get involved because they're slowing each other down doing that. And you can see Lawrence almost span off there. I think he outbraked himself trying to overtake Gary, which I was hoping would give me an opportunity to get past him, but it didn't. He managed to get going again pretty fast, and you can see again that human boost button that he had. But he got recovered from that very well and got going again, and quite quickly he caught up with Gary again. So fair play to him. He did very well to recover from that. At this point, we started to come up to the first of the back markers. Now, I'm very, very good at getting past back markers, and I often will beat people who are better than me or quicker than me because I can get past the back markers faster than they can. But I could see quite quickly on that Lawrence was someone who was obviously very good at getting past back markers himself, so that kind of lessened the advantage that usually gives me. And you see Lawrence very quickly again has caught up with Gary. And this is why you should never give up or get disheartened, even if you can't keep up with someone, because you never know what can happen. And I don't know how clearly you can see here, but if you watch Lawrence closely, he actually spins out here, allowing me to get past him and actually pull away from him quite a bit because he got a bit stuck as well. Now Lawrence was chasing me at this point, so I wanted to get past back markers as quickly as possible, which is hence why I go on the grass at this point and really try and get past them as fast as possible, because I really didn't want Lawrence to catch me, and I knew that he was catching me fairly quickly despite falling behind. The standard of racing from the people that had turned up was very good. There was hardly any yellow flags, and apart from that bump at the start, I didn't really have any encounters that sort of annoyed me or drivers doing silly things or anything like that. It was all the standard was very good. Everyone drove very well and sensibly. So again, at this point, I knew that Lawrence was closing in. I kept looking behind and seeing he was that bit closer. So the race was coming to an end. I knew there was probably only a few laps left. So I keep looking back to see where Lawrence is and just making sure again that I get past the back markers as fast as possible. It's always interesting as you sort of go through the field and start lapping people. As you lap more and more people, they sort of get quicker and quicker. When you first start to lap people, they're obviously the slowest people, so they tend to be very easy to overtake. And it kind of gets harder and harder as you lap more and more of the field, because they tend to get sort of better and better as you go through, and therefore sort of harder to overtake. But yeah, it's always just a thing of just sort of being patient and making the move when you get the right opportunity without sort of putting yourself in a situation where you're going to lose too much time. And this chap here was taking fairly good lines, so it was quite difficult to overtake him. And again, I was very conscious of Lawrence, so I didn't want to get too stuck behind him. But I did eventually manage to get a better exit out of the corner and get past him. I could literally sort of sense Lawrence closing in on me at this point, and I was thinking, can I just hold on? Because I knew actually I was in fourth place at this point. Because one of the championship lightweights had a cart issue early on, so they'd pitted. So we were battling for fourth, which would have been a very good position in this race with this standard of people. So I'm constantly looking over my shoulder there to see where Lawrence is. Because they say you shouldn't look over your shoulder in karting too much. You should focus on what you're doing. But you do not want to be surprised by someone making a lunge and they didn't know you didn't know they were there. I always like to know kind of where my opponent is, and you can see there I knew that Lawrence was there. He was right behind me at this point. He'd caught right up, and I knew it was going to be hard to keep him behind. Now this hill bit is the best bit for lightweights because they'll often just sail past you. So I was determined to try and keep it. You can see him getting that straight line speed advantage, and I just hugged the inside line and forced him to go down the inside into this next corner. And I thought I'm just going to brake as late as possible. And it was a battle of who braked last, and I did. I managed to keep the position. Outbraked him, and I think he slightly outbraked himself because he fell a little bit behind at this point, and then I quickly was able to put a back marker between us as well. So I thought at this point maybe I would be able to just hang on for the remaining few laps and take fourth place. As I mentioned before, I like to think I'm pretty good at getting past back markers quickly, but to my horror, I looked over my shoulder having got past a few, and Lawrence was right on my tail again. So he'd also done a great job with them and managed to get past them, equally as fast as I did, if not even a fraction faster. So he was right on my tail again at this point, and I think there was about 2 or 3 laps left. So I was really desperate to keep him behind. He's right on my bumper there. So a really, really great battle, really, really fun. But yeah, it was just a question of whether I could keep him behind for this remaining sort of lap or two. And then he got alongside me. I got a poor exit out of the corner trying to defend. He got a better exit, and this downhill bit can be quite dangerous for 2 carts at the same time, so I had to concede. He had the inside line. But I was confident I could get him back. So he gets a really poor exit out of this corner. I always took the corners a little bit better than him, so I was able to get a run on him as I got better exit speed. Get right in his slipstream, and then I knew this was my last opportunity to dive down the inside, get right up behind him, dive down the inside into this corner, and brake as late as possible. As you can see there, I did exactly what not to do. As I came off the racing line, I found the inside line. I just hadn't timed it right. I wasn't quite near enough to him. And as I come off the racing line, there was obviously no grip on the inside line because it hadn't been raced on. So I outbraked myself, span off. Not span, but span off. Had a bit of a spin, which I managed to stop before it became a full spin. And but of course at that point Lawrence completely disappeared, and that was bye bye to fourth place. So this next clip is me taking the checkered flag. I was 5th in the end, just behind Lawrence. But yeah, I was happy enough with fifth in the end. Had a great battle with Lawrence, very, very fun. He said to me afterwards, he said, he thought he'd made contact at some point, but Lawrence, if you're watching, I don't think you did anything wrong. It was a really, really clean race. I don't think we ever made contact. I certainly had no complaints. Very fun battle and great racing. So yeah, it was another really fun race at Daytona Milton Keynes, and I hope to be back in the not too distant future. Because yeah, Daytona Milton Keynes is one of my favourite tracks, and if you ever get a chance to visit, definitely go for it. Can highly recommend.